Welcome, everybody, and Hare Krishna to another Prabhupada Memoirs. Depending where you are in the world, you'll be celebrating the day after Christmas. In the UK, we call it Boxing Day. And what a nice day to pack a lovely Prabhupada Memoirs session in. And it's going to happen with Her Grace Mondakini Mataji. And I am so honored that she has joined us today on this very eventful and very busy time for everybody around the world. And the title is To Russia with Love. Because the reason for this title is because Mataji here is probably one of the first that helped to start up going to Russia and started to preach in Russia. So we're so lucky to have her right now here. And welcome all the way from France. Welcome to you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. I just want to say how grateful I am to Jagannatha, Kirtanananda, Prabhu, and to all of you. I'm very grateful and honored to be with you today in that very special day. Yeah, it's just a few hours, a few days after Christmas. And it's also a terrible condition of the pandemic all over the world. So I'm just praying that all of you remain well and safe and healthy, as we can say in Krishna Consciousness, that you remain healthy, spiritually wealthy, and wise.
Thank you for the blessings. And we're so lucky. We've got over 200. It's going up, 205, and it keeps going up. People who are joining us live. And this is the best time because you can also ask your questions. Yes, some will watch it later, but we are live on the different channels. I just want to say a thank you to His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj. Thank you to His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, to Mayapur TV, to ISKCON Desire Tree, to Bhagavad Gita channel, and also to all of you right now for joining in and where this is being broadcasted. So we must start because one thing I want to start with is this. And when I said we must start with how you came into Krishna consciousness. How did it start for you, Mondakini Mataji?
Yeah, so it started a long time ago when almost nobody in the audience was born. It started in the year 69. Yeah. So I have to tell you that we were actually three young girls, 19 years old. We went to high school together. We did our first year in university. One of the friends is actually called now Jyotirmayi Devi Dasi. The other one is called Ilavati Dasi. And we were young at this time in the 60s, when actually the whole youth was looking to have answers to the existential questions of life. All these questions, and when you ask yourself these questions, the Lord that is within our heart is actually giving us the answer. Is helping us to meet the proper spiritual master. And I'm sure every one of you has a story like that to tell. So all that happened when we were very dissatisfied about material life. At that time, with Jyotirmayi, who was called Joel at that time, we were studying ethnology at a university called La Sorbonne in Paris. And we were trying to find some answers to our questions. What was life about? We didn't want to live a life like our parents. In France, if you know a little French, we call it métro, boulot, dodo. Jagannatha, Kirtanananda, Prabhu, do you know what it means?
That I don't know what it means. Please do tell us.
Yeah.
I know some basic French because we did it in school here, but
So Metro means you get up very, very early in the morning and you don't have any time, just maybe to take a cup of coffee and rush to the tube, to the subway. Then boulot, it's a whole day of work. Then dodo, you're so exhausted. You come home and you don't have to time to think about the main important question of life. What is this human life meant for? So we became very, very dissatisfied. And as it was actually the time, like most of the youth, we were looking for some answers to these existential questions. So we read so many books. We went to the university to see how all the tribes, in the world, the ancient tribes were living. How did they answer these questions? So we studied, the tradition of the Eskimo. We studied the tradition of the tribes of Africa, of old China, and of India. But as you know, except Srila Prabhupada, nobody was actually giving any approach to the devotional tradition of bhakti. So we became a neophyte impersonalist. We had a guru. He was teaching Vedanta, and he was teaching us the aphorism of Vedanta. He was saying, "You are that." And we became very, very happy because with "you are that," we could speculate all our life about it. And came a time we decided it's time to find a spiritual teacher. We are going to go to India. So at this time we needed a little Lakshmi, money, and we did a little job. But we were always reading while working. We were reading our impersonalist books. And it was a student job to put leaflets in the mailing box publicity. And there was one boy who was also working. He was French. He came from America. He had a little tuft of hair at the back. And he saw us reading all these books. And he said, "Are you interested in spiritual life?" I told him, "Oh, yes, I'm living for spiritual life." He says, "I have a spiritual master. His name is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada." And we told him, "But we're looking for a spiritual master. We're ready to travel the world to find a spiritual master, but not a cheater. We don't want a cheater." And it went on like that. He told us about the Maha Mantra. And one time he told us, "Come to the American Center. We are having a program." So we went. It was quite an adventure because, as most of the people at this time, we thought to see really the truth, we have to take some material substances, like at the time it was LSD.
Oh,
Then,
yes. The
then
hippies turning into happies.
that was the area. And then we will know if the devotees of Krishna are real spiritualists. So we came to the program with big eyes, and Krishna tricked us. The devotees, they looked like angels, and the Maha Mantra was just so powerful. So then we kept meeting the devotees, but we had a big problem with the impersonalist philosophy. And one time they told us, "Why don't you go to London? Our spiritual master, Prabhupada, is going to open a temple and install some deities called Shri Shri Radha London Ishvara."
I know that name very well.
Yeah. So he told us, "Please come, and you will meet Srila Prabhupada." And on top of our 19 years, we were so foolish and proud. We thought, yeah, we are going to test A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are going to see if he's a real spiritual master. And it tricked us. He actually, from the time on that we came, he stayed 1 week. And it took me 1 week to understand that he was my eternal, real spiritual master.
So nice. And this was just for everyone. This is 1969, if I'm correct.
Yes,
So
December.
December time. So right now, everyone, December. Think of it, 1969. In this time is when the installation of Radha Landanishwara was happening at Bury Place, if I'm
Yes,
correct.
yeah,
And you were there, and that was your first meeting. And of
yeah,
course, everybody knows the story of how close Srila Prabhupada was to the deities of Radha Landinishwara. We're quite fortunate here. Like, of course, we have the temple president, Jai Nitai Prabhu,
yeah,
get his association, get the association of so many of devotees from there. And of course, the association of the deities, Shri Radha Landinishwara. So it's so nice to hear that connection that actually it started here. So in 1969, when you were in Berry Place, and Srila Prabhupada was there at that time.
yes.
How was that? Seeing Srila Prabhupada for the first time.
Yes.
How was that? Please explain.
That was such a magical meeting. First of all, I have to tell you, but you probably know, that Prabhupada said something very, very special about Shri Radha
Please
Landanish.
do tell. And I just want everybody to know we got some amazing pictures that we'll be showing later. So stay tuned. Some rare photos that you won't have seen somewhere else. So stay tuned. But yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, so Prabhupada said about Shri Radha Landanish that Krishna has cheated you. He didn't come as a murti, he came himself. And everybody, of course, knows how Srila Prabhupada kidnapped Shri Radha Landanish. You know, and when they came, we came that morning of the installation. But, we were just young girls, long hair, and probably in trousers. And the Matajis, they thought we were 19 years old, a little beautiful at that time. And then they thought we looked like Maya Devi. So they started to put a sari on us and to put our hair properly. And when we came, the installation ceremony was over. But I can just very shortly recall what Yamuna told us and many other devotees. These deities, they were just so beautiful. The temple was very long and very small. And with Srila Prabhupada, were maybe no more than 20 devotees in the temple. At that time, boys and girls, it was like a family atmosphere. Boys and girls were not separated. You could find girls not in one row yet. It was really, really like family. And Shyama Sundar Prabhu had made, you will maybe see pictures or you have seen, the temple looked very, very mystical. Shyama Sundar wanted it to look like a Buddhist cave. And and he had imported some red oak, boards, and it went over the ceiling. It looked like a cave. A purple carpet, a lot of incense, very, very mystical. But before we came upstairs, a tragedy almost happened. Shyama Sundar actually was so tired that he almost completed the temple, decoration in 1 week. But he was so exhausted that he fainted the day before. And there was one thing he didn't do. He didn't really secure some very big pillars in the temple room. There were 4 pillars. 2 pillars were supposed to hold the canopy above the deities, and two other ones were higher. They were for a shelf quite up, maybe 3 meters, and where Lord Jagannatha, Lady Subhadra, Lord Balaram were standing. And when we had to dress their lordship, we use actually a ladder. So in the morning, when Srila Prabhupada, helped by Yamuna Devi, completed the bathing ceremony, he told a few boys, two or three boys and Yamuna, to come with him in the temple room. And at one point, one elbow of one boy knocked one pillar. And a tragedy was going to happen. The canopy was so heavy. It was going to crush the deities. And we have to know that the BBC was there. Huh? So at the time, the curtains were closed. And Yamuna saw something extraordinary. She froze. She just couldn't move. But Srila Prabhupada jumped like a young man. And with one hand, he was holding the canopy. With the other hand, he took the hand of Srimati Radharani to reassure his beloved deities that everything will be all right. And Yamuna says, I've noticed something extraordinary. You know, Prabhupada was not old. He was in the mood of chivalry, like the knight of Srimati Radharani. And he was protecting them. And she said, what I saw that time doesn't belong to this world. It is actually from above. And this is where I want to go. But we didn't know anything about it. So when we came to the temple room, a beautiful kirtan was going on. If I remember correctly, maybe Yamuna Devi was singing, Mukunda was on the drum. It was so beautiful kirtan, very mystical. And all of a sudden, we never saw that before, everybody felt flat on the floor.
Wow.
So, you know, offering obeisances. So with my friend, we were quite polite young girl. So we did the same, not knowing why.
You just did it.
Yeah. And you know that Srila Prabhupada said that men, they have some defects, and women, they have some defects. I speak of material, tendencies. He said one of the defects of the ladies is that they're very curious. And I was terribly curious. So I put my head a little up. And then just on my right side, I saw two beautiful golden lotus feet passing by. So they were so beautiful, and the way that person was walking was so elegant. Then I wanted to see more. I put my head again. And then for the first time in this life, I saw Srila Prabhupada. Then he was walking in such an elegant way. And I remember I was thinking, that Srila Prabhupada looks like the emperor of the world. And then another thought came at the same time, but how come he looks like the most humble sage also? And I couldn't understand how two qualities so antinomic were meeting each other. And I became immediately attracted. Wow. Then Srila Prabhupada sat near the Vyasasan. No, he sat on the Vyasasan. He came near, he sat. And you see, it was a very long, narrow room. And the Vyasasan was actually on our right side, meaning the left side of the deities. So it was made also by Shyamasundar Prabhu. So he sat there, he looked at us, maybe 15 or hardly 20, devotees. And, everybody in the room felt Srila Prabhupada was looking at him or her personally, a little bit like Krishna in the Rasa dance. When I caught his glance, I couldn't rationally tell why, but tears were just flowing from my eyes. And I was wondering why. It's not that it's not out of extreme joy or extreme pain. Why? And then the answer came from within. That person knows me much better than I do. And it's not from this life. And I was so impressed by the compassion in his glance. Like he was seeing the suffering. It was like a scan. He was seeing everything within, beyond the bodily covering or beyond the mind, the psychological covering. Everything we were trying to hide, he went right through. And it was like he was saying, I have the answer. I can help you. Let me help you. And it was the first meeting with Srila Prabhupada. Then he gave he led a beautiful kirtan, as you have heard and see on videos. It started in a very, he was playing kartal. So it started with a very meditative mood, very, very slow. Then the tempo was speeding up. And then again, very meditative and slow. So we were with my friend in another world. Already we had been very attracted to the Maha Mantra, very difficult with the philosophy, theist philosophy. But we'd been chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in front of Lord Buddha. And he has helped us, And then Prabhupada started to give a lecture. And many God brothers, many God sisters will tell you the same. We were so amazed because we didn't ask the questions, but Srila Prabhupada actually answered so many of our questions.
Oh,
So that was the first meeting.
amazing.
Srila Prabhupada, so strong, so powerful.
Such a amazing first meeting. And as you were talking, so many comments have been coming through. One, I have to Rukmani Priti saying, thanks for sharing this pastime, Mataji. Feel so fortunate to hear from you, Mata. So, and also we've got Tarksha Prabhu, who's been also talking about the deities themselves, how they came. It's like we're having this whole Leela of, Radha Landaneshwara. So thank you, Tarksha Prabhu, for all the lovely messages you're putting in, giving the details of how the deities came and about Mr. Goyal.
Yes,
And it
yes.
just took. So he's been lovingly just putting these messages through as we're talking, and everyone's learning more and more about Sri Sri Radha Landaneshwara. So
And dear Prabhu, a few years ago, with Jagannatha Prabhu, maybe you were there. There was a celebration. I think it was the 49th anniversary. We invited Mr. What was his name, Dayal?
so Mr. Goyal was the
Goyal.
person. Yes.
And Jagannatha Prabhu asked me to talk. And by Krishna's grace, Mr. Goyal spoke first. And he has another version. He said he had a dream. He knew he had to give the deities to Srila Prabhupada. And our version, according to Shyama Sundar and everybody, was that Prabhupada kidnapped them. But I realized both versions were true.
Yes. And another one, Laura Henry, she says, thank you, Mataji, for sharing these pastimes. They have touched my heart. You have touched my heart. There's people that are writing that. Look at this. Amon says, lovely to listen to these such wonderful divine experiences with Srila Prabhupada. Brings tears to my eyes. Pranams. So you're touching the hearts of everyone joining right now, and the messages are flooding in. Please do flood them in. Questions you might have. This is your chance, especially when we're doing it live. You can ask these questions. But I want to, come on to the point. You had a very nice relationship with Srila Prabhupada. And of course, 69 you joined, and in the 70s, starting of the 70s, there was conversations of going to Russia. And I just want to read just excerpts from points that Srila Prabhupada talked about. One was a room conversation happening October 25th, 1972 in Vrindavan. And he says, Prabhupada says, and I'm going halfway through the whole conversation just for time. Says, yes, reading Bhagavad Gita, and I'm getting that boy with my one French girl disciple. When he will be strong, he laughs. We are also playing politics. You know that? And then Guru Das, he was talking, he says, Mondakini? He goes, Prabhupada said, Mondakini, yes, very nice girl. You have seen her? Another devotee says, very nice pujari. Prabhupada says, very intelligent, educated, beautiful, everything. And I have asked her that you go to Russia and marry that boy, and she has accepted. You took him as your spiritual father, like as a father would say to a child. Even in these days, people don't just listen like that. So he had such an impact with you, and you can see it in this letter. And this has been documented. So go to Vani Quotes. Anybody wants to see, you can go to Vani Quotes and you can see that. So let's bring that on. About now, you talk about Russia. This is now talking 70s, early 70s. There's the Cold War. It's not a easy thing to go to Russia. Not as pleasant as it may be now, but please explain, how did that come about, and how did you feel? Okay, you've been asked to go to Russia, marry a person, and you haven't seen that person before. Talk about arranged marriage. Amazing.
Actually, it was really Radhalanda Nishwara's grace, I'll tell you. What happened, Yamuna Devi, she was the pujari. And again, it will be too long to tell now, but by some extraordinary arrangement, I got to help Yamuna, to assist her. She trained me up. Then she had to leave to go to India. Prabhupada called about 20 disciples from all over the world to go to India. As we discussed yesterday, he said he wanted to bring his white dancing elephants.
Yes.
To show actually the wonderful Indian people that they shouldn't look, they shouldn't be attracted to the allurement of the material allurement of the West, because even young people who came from a wealthy or well-to-do family, they were actually looking to the spiritual treasure of India. So Yamuna was gone, and I was taking care of our wonderful Shishi Radhalanda Nishwara. And I always say, rather, they were taking care of me. But then a desire came from within, reading the first Srila Prabhupada's books, to help the mission of Lord Chaitanya, to be engaged in the preaching mission somehow or other. So whenever I could, I was going to distribute magazines, in Oxford Street or anywhere. But the desire came stronger and stronger. And one day, I found something very, very interesting in one of Srila Prabhupada's purports. I don't remember where it was, unfortunately, but it really appealed. It was very appealing. It was said that if the spiritual master is giving you a difficult task, and if you can say yes to him immediately, you will make a lot of spiritual progress. So I became very enthusiastic. it was a little selfish because I thought, I would like to make spiritual progress. So it was selfish. Huh? But then by that time, I got rid of most of my impersonalism, and I knew Shishirada Londonishvara were real persons. So I just rushed to them, and I addressed them that prayer. My dear Lord, you're so powerful, you're so clever, and I know you can do everything. Can you help me? Can you make Prabhupada give me a task a little difficult? But one thing, you have to remind me to say yes. And then I forgot about it. I forgot. I was just a young girl, you know. So then we heard Prabhupada was coming to London very often because while he was traveling the world, London was really in the center. But then I heard that very, very strange news, and we didn't hear much about it at that time because it was kept under secrecy. It was secret. Prabhupada is actually in Moscow. He's behind the Iron Curtain.
Yes.
Yeah. And as you have said, Prabhu, at that time it was the Cold War, and in the West we had read so many books, but I don't know if you know Solzhenitsyn, talking about the archipel of the Gulag. You know, we have heard how it was difficult with the Soviet regime if you didn't agree to the philosophy of communism. You were just put into camps. You could die. Nobody. You were actually brushed out of the history books. You know, so many leaders of the Soviet regime who were not in favor anymore. They just got into prison, killed. And next year, they were not in the pictures, even the photographies. So it was very, very, very severe. We didn't know how Prabhupada had gotten there. But I remember thinking at the time, Srila Prabhupada is so brave. He's really fearless. And I was so proud of Prabhupada. He's really Abhay Charan, one who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna and who knows no fear. And but at the time, we didn't know much about it. Would you like me to say a few words about what Prabhupada?
Please do.
Okay, you tell me. Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
please do.
Okay, so later on we heard that Shyama Sundar heard that Srila Prabhupada was very eager to go to the Soviet Union. When our wonderful Ganesham, who became Bhakti Tirtha later on, was actually distributing books in the university's library in Eastern Europe. He was telling Srila Prabhupada how people were suffering, how they didn't have enough to eat. And Prabhupada was actually crying. He was saying that because of this atheist regime, atheist regime, material nature is withholding the basic necessities of life. And he was very, very eager to go and preach in these countries. So Shyama Sundar actually sent a letter to one professor, Professor Katowski, who was the head of the Asian Institute in Moscow. And he said, actually, it would be very nice if my teacher could come to visit you and discuss Vedic philosophy with you. So Professor Katowski was a real nice man. And he said, oh, yes, it would be very nice if he could come. It was not properly an invitation. But when Shyama Sundar took the letter to the Russian embassy. It was enough to get a 5 days visa. So Prabhupada was ready. He took the plane to go to Moscow. There was Shyamasundar and the servant, Aravinda, and Srila Prabhupada. But they were very, very careful. And they said to each other, we won't take any books. Because already at that time, the KGB was made about religious books. At time we can discuss later about it.
Definitely, yeah.
And but you all know our wonderful Malati Devi, Malati Prabhu.
Malati Prabhu came on. We've had Malati Prabhu join us on Prabhupada Memoirs as well.
Yeah, she's absolutely wonderful. She was, and she has a particular qualities, but nobody should imitate. And don't get me wrong. I call it spiritual disobedience. Don't imitate. But with Malati, it's very wonderful. So what she did, she thought, Shyamasundar said no books. This is crazy. No, it's not possible that Prabhupada goes to Moscow with no books. So she took a little blue, small one. It was a little blue pocket Bhagavad Gita. And she put it in a Shyamasundar suitcase. So here our three heroes, Srila Prabhupada, Shyamasundar, Aravinda, they come to the immigration, and the officer is there, and he looks quite stern, and he tells Shyamasundar, open your suitcase, your briefcase, and he takes it, and he makes a wrong gesture, and the little blue Bhagavad Gita falls on the floor. And it's a little blue Bhagavad Gita. I think, if I remember, there was Krishna and Arjuna. I don't remember very well, and it is shining out of its own glories, But Yogamaya is there, and Shyamasundar face got white. And the man says, there is a picture. He says, what is this picture? Shyamasundar says, it's family picture. The man is a little embarrassed, and he says, put everything back in your suitcase. And the Bhagavad Gita goes back in the briefcase. Then we can see also in Dear Yadu Bara's film, and Vishaka's film, that Prabhupada is talking about that event. And he said that another officer tells him, oh, we are not going to put you in a prison. We are not going to kill you for that. So there was danger.
Krishna.
So here they are. They come out of the airport with the Bhagavad Gita. And they go to the Hotel National. If anybody has gone to Moscow, it's actually a hotel that faces the Red Square. And they're very nice. We can go and ask to visit. But it's hard to find Srila Prabhupada's room because, some construction and some restoration has been done. But you can go inside and try and ask. And so Srila Prabhupada goes to meet Professor Katowski and with the boys, or at least Shyamasundar. Professor Katowski is very nice. Srila Prabhupada is speaking to him. In French, we have a little book. It's called Consciousness and Revolution. That's the talk between Srila Prabhupada and Professor Katowski. And Prabhupada is convincing Professor Katowski about the Varnashram Dharma, saying that even in a classless society like the Soviet regime, people still have different material propensities. Not everybody can be a teacher. Not everybody can be a warrior or do administration. So Professor Katowski is convinced. They talk very nicely, but then it comes to an end, and Professor Katowski is going to make a very nice university article relating the whole discussion. But then Prabhupada explained, he knows what to do to spread Krishna consciousness. It has worked in America, it has worked in London, in Europe. He wants to meet the youth. So he's asking Professor Katowski, can I meet the students? And Professor Katowski replies, but we have no students today. Or can I meet the teachers? Oh, there is no teachers today. Not even a sweeper is in the institute, because Professor Katowski is so frightened of the KGB that he has chosen a day when nobody, not even a mouse, will be in the institute. So Prabhupada is very unhappy. He wanted to meet the students. And Shyamasundar can see Prabhupada is not happy. You've seen these beautiful pictures. I don't know if you have them, but beautiful pictures that Shyamasundar took of Srila Prabhupada walking along the Red Square. No.
I can't recall it, but
yeah.
try and share it.
It was really like a very, very simple little camera, Polaroid, they call it, black and white. But these pictures, they went all over the world, and they're very beautiful. You see Prabhupada walking in the Red Square early in the morning. Nobody, now it's full of people, but then absolutely nobody. And you can see him going near Lenin's tomb. And very, very amazing, very, very interesting. When he went near Lenin's tomb, mausoleum, you could see the body actually of Lenin. And Prabhupada said, this communist regime won't last more than 20 years. We were in 71, and in 91, the whole communist regime collapsed. It was Gorbachev. It was what we call perestroika. The wall of Berlin fell. No, it was something nobody could believe, because it was so powerful. This regime, so strong, and now by Krishna's grace, it was actually the end of it.
That's amazing.
And Prabhupada knew it.
Yeah.
And no, I promise you, nobody except Prabhupada at that time would have actually proclaimed such a statement. It was like a vision of the future. So then you can see a picture where you can see the beautiful basilica at the back of Srila Prabhupada. And then he was walking, he was even taking buses to go around Moscow. And Shyamasundar actually was feeling very sorry, and he prayed to Lord Krishna, please, let Srila Prabhupada meet some young people.
Wow.
So Prabhupada got the authorization to have a little gas burner in his hotel room. It was quite a posh hotel, but they allowed him. And he was cooking sweet rice. He was cooking different things. And he was sending Shyamasundar to the grocery store. So Shyamasundar was dressed as a Vaishnav. Sometimes we think, why do we dress as a Vaishnav, actually? We can dress, in civil clothes, and we do now. But at the time, we didn't. And one reason is that people, they remember Krishna when they see us. dressed in Vaishnav clothes. So that happened that day. And if he didn't, if he wasn't dressed as a Vaishnav, maybe we wouldn't have all that wonderful, Krishna consciousness in Russia now.
This is, and that's one thing, that those starting days, that planting the seed. And I know yourself and your good husband at the time has also been helped to plant those seeds. And actually, I want to share a few photos of your preaching times with Srila Prabhupada. Let me just bring it up, everyone. Here we go. So where is this right now? This photo. And you are, just for everybody's, so everybody knows, over here is Mondakini Mataji, just there.
Yeah, can you go back? You can see Malati on the other side of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Malati is here. Yes, dear Prabhu. This was actually, the installation of the deities was on December 1469. So this is 7 days later, when Srila Prabhupada is leaving London to go to another destination, because, he has met all the Beatles. George is already very, very favorable, and he's helping us a lot. And Srila Prabhupada now is going to, to encourage other devotees in other destination. So the whole temple, maybe 20 of us, 15, I don't know, is going to the airport. Just I think Yamuna stayed with the deities to do puja and to cook. But the whole temple is going, and we can talk to Srila Prabhupada very, very freely. We can ask him all questions we want. We can sing, we can dance with him. I found somebody sent me these pictures a few years ago, and they're very precious, because that's the very day Paramatma from within my heart made me really convinced that Srila Prabhupada was my spiritual master.
Such a nice and intimate as well. There's another angle of you, and then, of course, there you are, and Srila Prabhupada, and speaking. It's just the association, the close association of Srila Prabhupada. Look what impact it's had, and still.
Srila Prabhupada, we recite our second prayer to Srila Prabhupada. He came to eradicate voidism and impersonalism, and he did it with us, although we were very, very contaminated.
And here as well, you're standing up. You're doing a little kirtan. Is this where is this? Is this in the airport, or is
this the same goodbye meeting with Srila Prabhupada at the airport? So here Prabhupada must lead probably kirtan, and a few of us are dancing out of joy.
You can see everybody in the back going, "Hey, what's going on here?" Such a beautiful mood. And then I'm just checking. Then of course we've got a little
Saraswati.
Yes. Malati.
Yeah. You can.
So I just wanted, there is just a few here as well. Of course, you talked about George Harrison.
Yeah.
You can see yourself at the front here. And Yamuna Mataji is doing the and such a nice ecstatic kirtan, it sounds like here. So beautiful.
This was in Paris, actually. That was after the Goddess of Fortune record was actually promoted. So George came with us. We were maybe 6 of us or something. Yamuna was there, I think. I don't remember. I think Rudas also. Shamasudar, sure. And we went to Paris to promote the record. And George wanted actually to help Krishna Consciousness in Paris.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
That's how it starts then, is it? Trying to push
it's
Krishna consciousness.
yeah, it started a little before, but not with no much success. So he wanted to give a push like that. And it's actually a very posh restaurant, very historical place. And the French people, they didn't care much about us, you know. When we started to chant Hare Krishna, they were just screaming, George, George, George. They didn't care much.
But it's so nice that, and actually talking, I think this is also the next picture we've got here, of course, of Her Grace Yamuna Devi and also
Yeah.
Dina Tarini.
Yes,
If I'm correct, in
near Paris. It's maybe you have heard about that place. It's called the Le Château de Versailles.
Versailles. Yes,
So
Versailles. I've heard of.
Yamuna Devi and Dina, they loved culture. And that's my little girl who is a big girl now. You have seen
I
her.
saw her. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she came to spend some time with us in Paris. And it was such a wonderful exchange
Oh.
to be with Yamuna, was to be with, you know, she was carrying Srila Prabhupada all the time with her. And I can say what I got. She was my mentor, you know, my first and dearest friend through all the years, although we didn't meet as often as I would have loved to. But it became more in separation.
Mm.
But every time we met, it was like magical. Yamuna was magical. And what I really loved in Yamuna and all the wonderful devotees at the time was that actually Krishna consciousness should never be, and the seva we are doing, the service, should never be a burden.
Yeah.
It should be full of joy. And for me, I took it as an adventure all the time. And we can use all the qualities the Lord allowed us to develop in this life. Either we are a man, a woman, a child, an old person, we all have something unique that we can use to serve the Lord. And we shouldn't be shy. We can be humble, of course, and understand it doesn't belong to us, but we shouldn't be shy to use the little talents Krishna gave us.
Yes.
And to offer it, you know, to the Lord, to the spiritual master, and to the suffering humanity. So that's what, from Yamuna, you know, the words will come: joy, adventure, beautiful beauty in spiritual life. We shouldn't be afraid of beauty. And Yamuna Devi, she is such a wonderful daughter of Srila Prabhupada. And she really gave so much Prabhupada's mood. Especially, she was really concerned with the youth generation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been hearing, because I've, been very fortunate to speak to some Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and Yamuna Devi Mata comes on so many times of how she's touched the hearts and actually how much she's helped so many individuals come to Krishna consciousness. And I like to also say that as we've been talking, people are really, really feeling what you are saying. And one metrics I use on that is we've just gone above nearly 1,300 likes from all the different platforms coming. That's how much they are really connecting with your talk right now. So thank you so much for touching everyone's hearts like that. And if you are liking what you're hearing, please share this this recording, what we're doing, it's going to be, of course, recording, but share it, like it, interact with it like you all are, because this is how we will able to spread the message and also touch many more hearts through Her Grace Mondakini Mataji's, her pastimes that she's sharing. I want to also say, if I may, because of time running, and Krishna is time, and of course we are not the control of time. But and we definitely want to invite you back because there's so much more we can talk about. But there's some things that are really close to your heart right now that I wanted to let everybody know about, and one of those projects right now that you are very touched with, because you talked about Russia and you're doing a lot in Russia. I was speaking to my good friend Shakti Avesh Avatar Prabhu. He was like, "Oh, you got Mondakini Mataji on," and then those that don't know, he's the founder of the Fortunate People. Check out doing. My plug for my good friend there. So here, another thing that's happening, and it's in Russia. The Planet of Cows, and there's the website here, www.en, because you're gonna, if you want it in English, you gotta put .en.planetkorov.ru. Yes. And I'd love you to talk a bit about something, why this is so dear to you. And as you're talking about it, I'm going to share the website and just go through a little bit like that, if that's all right. So please, how can people help you? Why is this so dear to yourself?
Okay, so actually it's a place in Siberia. I can say just in a few words because we won't have time today, but I went to Russia trying to get the residential visa. During 6 years I got married there, but Prabhupada, after 6 years, seeing they were not giving the visa to reside there, told me not to go anymore. It was actually before the persecution. So I didn't go to Russia for 36 years. And then in 2011, I went again. And as we discussed the other day with Prabhu, the love story with the Russian devotees started again. So this is everywhere. Devotees absolutely wonderful, and also everywhere in Russia. But I got very close to a congregation living in Omsk, or in the country of Omsk in Siberia. And that project, they have many projects. But I picked up that project. It's an ecological farm called Goloka. You know Goloka.
Yes.
But we call it, for the people who don't know Krishna, we call it the planets of cows. And just to give you an idea, in the beginning, they got that farm. And people were not farmers. And Siberia can be very tough in winter. When we go there in winter, it's about minus 30 or minus 40. And they started, and the man who was actually selling the farm said, if you want, I give you the cows. I think at the time it was about 30 cows. And nobody knew how to take care of cows. He said, if you don't take the cows, they will go to the slaughterhouse. So the leader of the project, a wonderful Russian preacher,
Yes.
very well known in Russia, called Valmiki Prabhu, asked his dear spiritual master, who is actually, I think, dear Prabhu, I think the spiritual master is one of your god brother. His name is Chaitanya Chandra Charan.
Yes, very well.
So he said, what shall we do? Nobody knows what to do with the cows. And this is Valmiki Prabhu.
Yes.
And then Chaitanya Chandra Charan Prabhu said, save the cows. So they took the cows and they just learned in very, very difficult circumstances how to take care of the cows, how to love the cows, to give. First, the cows were very frightened. There was even a little calf who was blind, and he actually recovered his sight. And they just love the cows so much. They don't, this is Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, they don't exploit the cows. If if some money comes out of the milk product, it's good, but that's not the aim. And just by loving the cow, all cows and the calves and the bulls and everybody, all this project took form. And I think it got very recently the first prize of all the farms in ISKCON. So it's and how it works and why I like it so much. It's because it's a preaching project. It's not just to live in a farm for the Vaishnav peacefully, but it's to educate the people how to live a simple life and high thinking. It's actually to try to implement for the people at large Vanashram Dharma in the future. You know, and I remember how Prabhupada was really fond of developing these farm communities to give shelter to the people in Kali Yuga. And we can see nowadays with all the lockdowns and all these terrible diseases, how people will be just happy living near the land, living in the farm. So this, and and I have to say that the devotees in Russia, but and also in this kind of project, they make Srila Prabhupada very happy because their philosophy is what Prabhupada said: impossible is a word in a full dictionary. So they are always, as Shyamasundar Prabhu say, they are shooting for the rhino. They don't accept the word impossible for spreading, the mission of Lord Chaitanya to go to every town and village. Sometime during the marathon, there was one in the depths of Siberia. One boy was walking in the snow for 12 kilometers, and he distributed maybe 10 books. But that's the mentality. That's why I'm very inspired.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. Such a beautiful project. As you can see, the website is full of nectar. There's also a place where if you want to donate, there's the banking details are there. And if you're in another country and that looked alien to you of how to transfer Lakshmi, then you can contact them. So everything's on here, and I would implore you, help the cows. This is such a beautiful project, as you just seen. And then if you want to know more, you can see right now at the bottom, we've just put the actual www.en.planetkorov.ru. So it's a Russian site. Please do check it out. And I just want to say thank you so much. I can see in French. We've got somebody just so we have to put that on. Just going. We've got Preeti who said wonderful and transcendental. Thank you. We have Chudamani Mataji said Hare Krishna Mondakini Machi will have to grace us more than once. Chudamani definitely. We've got Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances into your lotus feet. Thank you so much for such wonderful pastimes. We are getting inundated with such messages. You've touched the hearts of so many individuals today. And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your pastimes with Srila Prabhupada, joining us. And I'm personally thankful that I got the opportunity to speak to you prior, get to know you and your wonderful family so nicely, even though we're on the internet. It feels really nice too. So I just want to say, personal thank you to you for helping to, put the love of Srila Prabhupada in everyone's hearts, is what I want to say. So
Thank you so much for your invitation. And again, I'm very grateful and honored. And I want to thank all the audience. And to repeat, because I say many times that Srila Prabhupada didn't just come for his direct disciples, but he came to all of you. Srila Prabhupada had this vision. I remember, when he was in the beginning in New York on a bench. It was winter. It was snowing. It was the first time Srila Prabhupada saw the snow. And he thought somebody had painted the walls white. And then a man, he had two chadas, maybe a coat, and this funny little, caoutchouc slippers. And a man came and asked him, "What are you doing here?" Seeing that holy man from India. And Prabhupada said, "Actually, I have a lot of disciples. I have 100, I've opened 108 temple. I have a lot of opulence." At the time, he didn't have enough to buy boga, to cook boga. Sometimes he had pain in the stomach because of hunger. But he said, "I have so much opulence." And he looked at the man and he said, "Just time is separating." So he had this vision. He knows all of you. He knew all of you. And he's your very, very, always dear well-wisher through all your spiritual masters. Prabhupada is very close to you. So don't think you don't know Prabhupada. Just act in a way that he will know you, and he knows you already, but he will know you more. And this is going to Russia. It seems a very extraordinary adventure, but all of you can have such an adventure. It doesn't matter what kind of service, you can attract Krishna's attention and love. Krishna already loves you, but you can attract Krishna's love and Prabhupada's love, even sweeping the floor. Just, you have to make it an adventure. You can make it very special. You can buy some very beautiful oil, something you do from your own free will to make it an adventure so that Krishna will respond to you. So it's all yours. Prabhupada gave you everything. He's waiting for you. And if you want to please him, you have to become a pure devotee. And you have to give his mercy, his compassion to others. And you will become happy. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you, dear Prabhu, and to everyone. It's a joy to be with you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining. It's been such a nice interactive session. And we will see you all again. Please stay tuned and please share this session. Share it. Sharing is caring. Share it. This is one way as well of helping everyone know the glories of Srila Prabhupada. So take care and Hare Krishna.
And please keep healthy. Take care.
Yes.
Be well and safe, because we need every one of you. Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, and Prabhupada, they need every one of you.
Hare Krishna. Stay well. Hare